Welcome back to the Hannahcast YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be reviewing Million Dollar Baby as part of a series where I review all of the Best Picture nominees of that year, which includes Million Dollar Baby, The Aviator, Sideways, Finding Neverland, and Ray, along with a couple of other films that I think are worth mentioning because they almost got in. But before I go on, I do want to let you guys know that I have a new merch store open. It is store.streamelements.com/thehannahcast. And over there, you can get a lot of cool goodies like shirts, hoodies, mugs, and an embroidered hat, which I think is really cool. I call it the Hannah cap. But if you don't want anything with my logo on it, I do have a movie theater douche repellent t-shirt where if there's someone in the theater being annoying, like they're talking to their friends or being on their phone, or their kid is crying and they're not being a considerate parent by taking the kid out of the theater so that they don't disrupt everyone else who's paying money to see the movie, then you can buy this shirt to passive-aggressively tell them to quietly shut the fuck up. And also, before I go on, I will say there will be spoilers because I feel like that's the best way for me to review this movie, to give a lot more of my context. So if you haven't seen Million Dollar Baby, please do so before watching this review, unless you don't really care about spoilers. Anyway, let's get on to it. Million Dollar Baby is a really interesting film because I don't want to get too much into its Oscar history because I do want to save that for the retrospective. But at the time, this is a pretty different kind of Best Picture winner. It's a lot smaller in scale, and even when compared to other films like Rocky, which made it a big spectacle, this wasn't really like a spectacle kind of boxing film. It felt a lot more grounded and realistic. I'm maybe wondering if this is the kind of film that people wanted to win Best Picture after having so many other huge, large-scale films like Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, or Chicago, or Gladiator, or Titanic winning Best Picture many times. And so this may have been considered a change of pace. Overall, I do think Million Dollar Baby is very strong. It stars Clint Eastwood, Hilary Swank, and Morgan Freeman, the latter two of which actually won Oscars for their performances, and all of them are really good. Like, especially Hilary Swank as Maggie. She really kills it in this movie. Not only just from the acting perspective, which is also done very well, but just physically, she's doing a lot. She's having to do a lot of boxing. The performance suddenly turns from being very badass and triumphant to being very vulnerable. I feel like another reason why this movie just hits so home with many people is that it's very agreeable in a way. The story is simple, but it relies so heavily on the characters and the acting and the emotion to where it doesn't feel like it's been done a million times. And I feel like another thing that keeps this movie very agreeable is that the movie has a lot of these simple setups and big payoffs, big satisfying payoffs. For example, there's this mentally disabled man who wants to become a boxer, but throughout the course of the film, Anthony Mackie's character is constantly berating him to the point where at around like the third act of this film, he is just literally physically assaulting this guy, and Morgan Freeman says, you know what, I've had it, and knocks Anthony Mackie's character out. Again, little build-ups and big payoffs that feel very satisfying. Again, I feel like are very good ingredients to making a film very universal and very, agreeable in a sense. And going back to the gritty feeling of this film, it's like, you look at a lot of other boxing movies and it's very sensationalized. Like, for example, Raging Bull, which is also fantastic, but that is also a very highly stylized film. And this film, I feel like, makes it feel a lot more realistic. And speaking of the filmmaking, the movie's also shot very nicely too. It has very nice silhouettes of the actors that I feel like we don't really see a lot in movies today. Now, I'm not sure how controversial this is now, and I'm honestly not sure how controversial it was back then, but I have heard that there was some criticism given towards the ending where, again, massive spoilers, when Maggie becomes so injured that she is literally put on life support. She has an oxygen tube in her neck. She's completely paralyzed from the neck down, and ultimately she even has some of her limbs amputated. And ultimately, she asks Frankie to pull the plug on her oxygen machine and let her die. And I heard there was some controversy with people saying that, what are you saying that, physically disabled people don't deserve to live? But that's not really the way I took it. When coming out of the movie, like going into the movie, I was worried, okay, I've heard of this controversy. Is this really going to be a thing? And really, no, because it was Maggie who made that call. She was the one who asked Frankie, hey, I lived a great life. I want to go out while I can still hear people chanting my name. And that, I feel like, puts things into a way more different perspective. It's not like Frankie was going, oh my god, your body is useless now. No use in you living anymore. Yoink. So I feel like because it was Maggie who made that call to have the plug pulled on her, that it does relieve a lot of the trepidations I had going into it. So I was like, oh wait, no, this movie's not really saying that physically disabled people don't deserve to live. It's that she herself said that her life is complete and she did everything that she wanted to do. Which, again, I don't know if that's considered controversial nowadays. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And admittedly, there was one other thing in the film that I was like, I'm not really so sure about, and even now I'm still trying to grasp as to what the intention of this character was, and that is how we are supposed to view Frankie, because he is very stubborn, but he is also Maggie's mentor and coach. And initially, he says, no, I don't want to train girls, no. But later on, again, he takes on the job of training Maggie and being her coach. But then when she gets injured, he walks up to Scrap, Morgan Freeman's character, and says, I told you I didn't want to coach for a girl. This is what happens. And all that stuff. And then later on, he's saying, oh man, no, these doctors, they don't know what they're talking about. You can be fixed. We'll just call around everywhere else to see what they can do. And admittedly, again, and nowadays, that's not really especially not a good mindset to have, especially post-COVID. But I have done some reading, and you could make an argument that he's not morally correct here, and it's not meant to be that he's morally correct. Yeah, he is acting very irrationally, but he is speaking from pure emotion, and when you're not really thinking and you're really more so going off of your emotions, your raw instant emotions, then you're going to make some bad lapses in judgment. And there is a little bit of the themes in this film where he's going through the 5 stages of grief, and so if that is part of it, if that actually is meant to be him saying the doctors don't know anything, that's not the actually correct thing you're supposed to take out of this. What's supposed to be taken out of this is that he is going through grief with this person that he's practically been treating as his daughter. He's not thinking clearly. He's acting through his emotions and not really thinking things straight. If that is the case, then all right, that does alleviate some problems of the film. Overall, $1 Million Baby is a film that honestly makes me think a lot more than I initially thought it would. And again, very simple story, but done well enough to where it doesn't feel like it's all cliched. It doesn't feel like a very cliched movie because the characters feel very fleshed out. The acting is very good. The filmmaking is very good. And so, yeah, I can see why $1 Million Baby won Best Picture. Would it have been my pick? Probably not. Actually, no, definitely not. There are a few other films I would put over it. But still, I had a very good time watching $1 Million Baby. But now, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on $1 Million Baby? Like I said, I will be reviewing a few other films. I'll be reviewing, The Aviator, Sideways, Finding Neverland, Ray, and also a couple of other films that weren't nominated in Best Picture, but I feel like are worth reviewing anyway, like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and I'll think of whatever else I do leading up to my 2005 Oscar retrospective video. Thank you so much for watching, and consider hitting that subscribe button, because if you don't, maybe your neck will land on a chair.